All right, guys, welcome back.
Yes.
We are in LA.
LA, big city of dreams.
Yes, the great city of Los Angeles. We at the Master Investor's home.
Yeah.
You want to tell them about where we at right now?
Yeah, we're at WTF Media Studio. Shout out to Weezy, Alex, Danny, Clara. Y'all had some legendary interviews here. Irv Gotti.
Gotti. Shout out to Gotti.
Yeah, I got some other amazing interviews in the pipipeline.
Some on the way.
Yeah.
Cooking up.
Need a home to record. Come out here to LA, WTF Media Studios. I partner with them, so
Yeah.
they did a great job.
Look,
y'all be here more than I am.
This is true. This is also true.
That's a fact.
We have good friends.
Yeah.
Look at the embroidery here. Can we close in on Ian as I'm talking though? Like, look at the embroidery that comes when you're a partner.
Gotta get a Market Monday studio very soon.
Look at that. This is the first time it's been used.
Absolutely.
This is fire. All right.
Legendary.
Yeah, shout out to you, man. And congrats on this. This is dope. This is dope.
Man, I appreciate
Yeah, when we come out here, having a place to record makes it a lot easier on us just to be like, all right, let's just show up and do what we do.
Taking the Pelican bags in the airport, not fun.
Yo,
Set up and break it down, my Lord.
If you ever caught me in the airport with that Pelican briefcase, let me tell you something. That thing is 90 pounds
Easily.
on 2 wheels.
Yes.
It ain't a 4-wheeler. So doing that in your luggage is part of the grind. But thankfully, having good friends like yourself, we get to have a home away from home.
No, I appreciate you.
Nah, man.
How y'all feeling?
It's been dope, man.
Yeah.
You know, we've been in LA. I'm sure we get to talk about it maybe later on in the show, but we've been doing so much great stuff. If you follow us on the gram, I'm sure you've seen a variety of different things that have transpired.
Don't be humble. Rock Nation Brunch.
I mean, some things we have spoken into existence, and you watch those things happen.
Can you tell them how important that is?
It's extremely important. I feel like, it's weird, bro. Like, I feel like everything that we say happens.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like that's not by accident. That's done through manifestation. But people think that manifestation is just that you got to work.
Yeah.
And manifest at the same time. Like, you know what I mean? So we've been able to, been extremely fortunate to see a lot of things that we wanted to happen come to fruition.
Yeah.
But we never stopped working. Like, we always kept working, and we still grinding. Like, there's still a lot more work to do. Like, we're nowhere near where we need to be.
That was a consensus. Like, as we were going through some of these things that we were experiencing over the past week, we looked at each other and like,
gotta get bigger.
We still got a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, we still got a lot of work. We grinded to this point.
Yeah.
But there's still so much to go. So it's like, all right, let's get back to it.
Absolutely.
Let's get back to it.
Lesson number 1, be careful what you speak into the world.
Let's get back to it.
Anything bad I manifested, I said it first. Anything good manifested, I said it first. So lesson number 1 for the night, please be careful what you say. And then work your ass off to make it come true.
And we got to meet some legends, man.
Met a lot of legends.
We got to meet some legends.
That is
We'll get to that.
And save it for later?
We'll get to that.
But first, I just want to talk about one thing. Shout out to my brother, Dave Gross. I definitely want to give him a huge shout out for inviting us to teach the class at Loyola Marymount. It was Nipsey Hussle. Mm-hmm. They have a class devoted to Nipsey Hussle, Principles of Business and Marketing. And we got to, talk about our business strategy, our business journey, and then tie it in with the legacy of Nipsey Hussle. And that was something that was really dope. That's the original reason why we came to LA this week. And from there, he introduced us to, of course, the All Money In team. We'll talk about that later on. But definitely want to give a big shout out to my brother, Dave Gross. Amazing. Great guy, very intelligent, and just an all-around good dude.
Yeah, and the beautiful part is that class existed prior to the untimely tragedy of what happened to Nip. And Nip was actually part of the course.
Yeah.
And so he had to figure out a way to make sure that legacy would continue and came up with the brilliant idea of having people who were affiliated with him and who have been impacted in any way by him, especially in business, to come speak on it. So obviously the All Money In team was the first class.
Yeah.
We were honored to be invited for the second class, but there's some more treats that are coming for the students that are there. And it was college students.
Yeah.
And so they really eager to learn. I know a couple of them had businesses that they were starting, asking us ideas. They had some student athletes in there. So it was dope to be back on campus. I was back in the classroom.
That's dope.
Yeah, I used to live
there.
there.
You each want to share one lesson that you shared at the college about growing your business?
Yeah, for sure. Well, one thing that I spoke about was, I talked about this before, where people, 7 streams of income.
Yeah.
And they think it's like 7 different jobs or 7 different businesses, but it's like starting verticals off of one main tree, right?
Yeah.
Different branches. So it's like, okay, if you cook, Now you have a restaurant, that's one stream of income, but off of that, now you can write a cooking book.
Yeah.
Right? You can sell aprons, you can sell actual cooking merch.
Cooking class for Valentine's Day.
Yep. You can do cooking classes.
Yeah.
You can make content, you can do a cooking show.
That's
right?
fire.
And make content that way. You can give consultations to other restaurant owners that are looking to get into the space, right? Because there's no school for this, really. Like, you know what I mean, as far as on the entrepreneurship side. So now you can actually be an authority in the space if you have a successful business. You can actually, charge for your services in that regard. You can do meal prep services. So these are all different things. Like, it's not like you're going too far out. It's not like you're starting a gas station.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're doing so. I encourage every person, and even if you have a job, right? We talked about that before. Like, if you are a teacher, who's to say you can't tutor? Or who's to say that you can't write a book? Or who's to say that you can't consult other school districts, right? And bill for your services and promote yourself as an authority in your space.
Or other entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
They need help building out a curriculum.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times, like, people get discouraged, but you have to have multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
Whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur, find ways to, stretch what you're already doing.
Yeah.
It's not like you're doing anything. You're already doing it, but just find ways to stretch it. And that was something that, we talked about with the kids, and I think that they found some value in that for sure.
Yeah, I think I was talking from the standpoint of partnership.
Yeah.
And understanding strengths and weaknesses and realizing that, and I took this from Nip when we have to figure out what our strengths are going to be, especially in this, and you see the back end stuff that happens. Yeah. And so it was like, we didn't know how to record. We didn't know what it was to have mics. And so it was something that I took personal. I'm like, if we're relying on somebody else, we'll always be dependent on that person. And so rather than doing that, all right, well, let me figure out what we need to record. Let me figure out how to edit it. Let me figure out how to engineer this. Let me make sure that the visuals are right. Yeah. Because there might be a day that nobody's there. And so, and it has been, especially now, it has been. Yeah. And it's like, all right, well, we still gonna get the job done because I know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that was one of the things I saw him do early on in his career was like, he couldn't get studio time. So he built a studio in his house.
Smart. Had
no idea how to do it, set his mics up, played with the equipment, and to a point was like, if the engineer doesn't show up, I'm still making the music, the job is still gonna get done. Yeah. And so that was one of those things I'm like, I actually took that from him. I remember when he said he spent hours in Guitar Center, I'm like, if he's able to do that as an artist, why can't I do that right now as an entrepreneur, especially in the podcasting space? So I did that. 2 to 3 hours every Sunday. I go in there. I don't even know how this works. What's this? Is Focusrite? How do you use this? What's an XLR cable?
Yeah.
Right. Like I should be using Shores. What should we be using? All right, we need to use that. Bet. Slowly but surely, I'm like, all right, I got this. To a point now, it's like, I could produce a podcast for you right now.
I'll call you. I'm like, hey, what I need? You like link right
here. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That comes with like, all right, we need it. Let's not depend on anybody. Let's do it ourselves.
I love it.
So, and so 3 major things happened for us this week. We went to the Rock Nation brunch. That did happen.
Rumors are true.
We met Nas. That did happen.
That also
amazing.
And the All Money In team. We had great conversations. But I want to do it like we did Davos when we actually had a segment. So maybe like in like a half an hour we can, because there's valuable lessons in all of those situations. Yeah. So I think that could be a good segment in the show. So I'm gonna talk about that, and I think you guys can get some great value, as opposed to we're gonna talk about what happened at the brunch. Don't worry. I think there's some lessons that, and we will say who's the realest rapper.
Yes.
Of all time.
Realest move that we saw.
Define real.
Ever.
We'll explain it.
We'll explain.
I sent a 2-word text out to my Danielle, and I sent a 2-word text out to my brother.
Yeah.
And the 2-word text was, we spoke.
Wow. Okay.
I'll leave it there.
Let's get to it.
We spoke.
Let's get to it. Cliffhanger.
So we'll get into this. Big episode of Earn Your Leisure tomorrow. My boy Blacc Tatted, Black Smoke. So he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, Blacc Tat.
Yeah, Blacc Tat. Yeah. But the name of the company is Black Smoke. Mm-hmm. So he's an entrepreneur out of New Orleans where he has the hookah pens.
Yeah.
But it's no nicotine and it's no tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
It's fruit based.
That's interesting.
So, smoking hookah is like one of the worst things you can do. It's like 100 times worse than smoking cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. Don't tell me and Ty that.
Ty came in with some other stuff over there.
Party favors.
But his stuff is no nicotine, no tobacco, so it doesn't have any harmful effects on your lungs. And it's fruit-based, and it's actually really good. And he's making a killing. He had $1 million day on Black Friday. Like, he's literally making millions of dollars doing this. So it's one of these things where you never think about it, but it's a great business model, and he's a great entrepreneur. So that comes out tomorrow.
Yo, there's a great part of the episode. I'm just gonna give you where we actually try the product. So I think it's maybe the first time.
Okay, that's first time
we tried the product.
Yeah,
hilarious.
That's funny.
Yes.
You get choked up? No pun intended.
I will let the people watch.
Shout out.
I can't wait to see it.
All right. Any announcements you would like to make?
Stock Club call will be 9:30 p.m. Central. Miss you guys. Y'all know we didn't do it this week. Stock Club prices will be out in Kajabi today. And announcement coming soon, but shout out to my CAA family.
Yeah.
Legendary runs coming soon.
I saw you in the offices.
Getting quartered by the bosses. Y'all spoke. Let's get to the show. I got 42 questions. 444 questions for y'all.
Good number.
Let's get into this.
Hold on, let me just do the disclaimer before we get into anything. So y'all know how this works, right? Do your own research. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important that you do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and what should rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Y'all know how this works, man. Do the research. If it's great research, share the research. If you found it for somebody, get them the credit for it. And if you found it from us, love is love. But make sure you remember where you got it from. All right.
So I'll tell everybody who I ran into this weekend said they made money. So
a lot of people making money.
Yeah,
that's always good.
Yeah, it's always good.
So all right. So what's your new target for futures?
So the market has been doing really well in January and February. So I want to give you guys a new target. So 33 contracts times 350 ticks. So I'll use ticks and points interchangeably. But if you hit that target, that's $57,750. The stop loss should also be 350 ticks. So you're risking one to make one. And when I posted it, I got a little bit of pushback that it costs a lot. You need $33,000 to be able to trade that. But it's like, it takes money to make money.
Can you try to explain this as easy? Because a lot of people have no idea what anything that you just said. So can you explain?
But they understood NFTs and crypto last year. Like that's the part that's tough.
Thought they did.
Or Web3 decentralized programming and so a contract is like a short-term trade that you can do in the futures market.
And futures is
you're predicting the future price.
You're producing the future price of an asset.
Yes.
It's not a option.
Not an option.
No.
But it's not common stock either.
No.
Commodities.
Yeah, so it's a short-term trade. And then points and ticks. Ticks is like every penny that moves up. We talked about this in episode 70. Classic. Should have went triple. Got questions for y'all later. But if you go hunt 350 points on NASDAQ, which is a great target, if you let that target run for about an hour and a half, 57,750 is the target you'll hit. And put in chat, if you hit that 4 times in a month, how much money is that? Because now, since the market is going back up, and we will slide back down, we have to be able to make money in any economy, whether we're going up, whether we're going down. So I still want you to long-term invest first, but you have to add the trading part to your arsenal. Them days when you hit 50 grand, 60 grand, it's not bad. Put a little smile on your face, especially if it's on a Friday, or you do a Friday and a Monday back-to-back.
This never hurts.
Yeah, it feel like how y'all did at the brunch.
You said an interesting point about the price points to get into some of these trades.
Yeah.
And we were on a call, and there was a call that I had told people about.
Yes.
And had they gotten to that call, they probably would have doubled the money.
Yes.
Which is interesting. But it comes to one of those things. It's like, especially in the options space, especially some of these mega cap companies, the contracts are going to be a lot more expensive because the likelihood is there, right? The chances of it happening are more likely. So obviously the contracts are more expensive. Obviously, if you go further out, which is more risky, that's why when I'm talking to people or teaching them, it's always like, let's stay close to the strike, right? Yeah. Like if you want to be in the money or near the money.
Yes.
That way, if there is a pullback, you're not 70% down.
Yeah.
But figuring out the strategy going into it, right? Am I going to go medcap? Or am I going to find companies where the contracts are a little bit less expensive? Or like one of the things you suggested, like, What if there's like 3 people that created an account? Like
empower money together.
Empower the money together. Now it becomes less expensive on each individual to invest, but the outcomes could be still as great.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's interesting that the mindset or the perspective that you have when you're trying to trade.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said,
5 friends to put up $10,000 a piece. You have $50,000 now. Have your contract in order to make sure everyone splits money equally, so you guys don't fall out. But when people are like, "Hey, I can't raise the capital," I'm like, "You have to find a way." That's the thing about being an entrepreneur. Whenever a door is closed, you have to find a way over it, around it.
Yeah, find a solution.
You have to find a solution to it. It's too much money out here to say, "Hey, I don't have the money. There's nothing I can do." If some of you are trading well enough, I'll fund you if you're actually trading live.
Yeah, and if you can't do it, every day that you don't, you're actually losing money.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure a lot of people that are watching, especially earners and obviously the Red Panda family, they've gotten education for over 3 years now.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, all right, you got the information, well, what are you going to do?
Yes. Execute.
That's the missing piece. Yeah.
Because you can take in so much information and know everything and not monetize.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get to a point to learn and then execute right away. And even if you lose, you can come back from a loss, but invest long-term first. And the superpower is if you can invest long-term, do options, futures, Forex, penny stocks together, killing. Going back to the 7 streams, like you can eat a bunch of ways off of one tree, but you have to just put the time in. Yeah.
So, all right. We talked about this yesterday at dinner. Shout out to Derek and the whole A16Z family.
Mm-hmm.
So a Chinese balloon was shot down. Does TikTok need to be finally banned? So this is my understanding of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you can correct me if there's any
I got you.
inaccuracies.
I need shook shotty, not polite shotty.
So they found a balloon of sorts hovering over a city, I believe in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
Started Alaska first.
Yeah,
then Northern Canada, then Idaho. And it was like, okay.
In American Northwest.
Yes.
CIA became aware of it. They thought that it was a Chinese spy balloon.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't shoot it down because it was overpopulated area. So they're like, okay, well, how are we gonna deal with this thing without causing, issues
or
for population?
Yeah.
So they tracked it and it moved across America. And as soon as it got off, I believe like
South Carolina,
one of these states in the South, as soon as it got right off of the coast and onto the Atlantic Ocean, they immediately shot it down.
Yeah.
China has said that it was not a spy balloon. It was monitoring the weather. And there was nothing to be
concerned. They couldn't go to weather.com?
It was nothing. It was nothing to be concerned. It was nothing to be concerned about.
Yeah.
And obviously the CIA and the American authorities have a different view on it. They feel that it was something to be concerned about. They feel that it was something that was a threat to national security, different things of that nature. So, all right. So what's the deal with this and how does TikTok come into play?
Because of course TikTok is, which I'm a huge fan of. That stance has not changed. But I think once we're entering a war game era where we have to be very careful. This is the first time, I'm gonna be very, very honest, in a long time that I missed the aggression of Donald Trump. Because if this spy balloon had been floating around when he was in office, I think the response would have been a lot swifter and a lot more aggressive. China is trying to do everything in their power to take the preeminent position globally from us. Now, I think it was a diversion, kind of like when Nancy Pelosi went over to Taiwan and they shot the missiles in the ocean just as a warning shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to get really worried about leadership and what will happen if China does get close enough to have a lead on us by teaming up with Russia and India. Now, back to TikTok. If they can spy on us, get all of our data, all of our financial records, their terms of service, if you read it, you basically sign over your life to them digitally. I think we do need to pass some laws where they break up TikTok, and there's a U.S. version that is completely disconnected from China if it's going to have this impact on our children. But we can't let our competitors spy on us digitally and over the United States home front and lie and say, hey, we just had the weather out. When the balloon can control where it's going,
They said it was for civilian purposes, but you brought up a good point, right? So like when Nancy Pelosi was going on over to Beijing, the missiles went off.
Yeah.
So the interesting part about when this balloon is discovered, on Friday, the Secretary of State was heading over to Beijing.
Yes.
Now, they said it was for civil purposes. Okay.
There's no civility between enemies.
For a balloon, obviously, they said it's the size of 3 buses, to travel from Alaska across the Midwest to get shot down off the coast of South Carolina. You literally traveled pretty much over the country.
Yes.
But this isn't the first time it's done it.
Yeah.
So it traveled the same balloon or a similar balloon, not the one that was shot down, traveled over Latin America, South America, and Europe.
It's an act of terrorism. If you go across an entire country, like let's go back to the neighborhood. Like if Omar from The Wire just walked through all of every neighborhood and figured out the hot spots where to attack and where not to, someone would have to stop that, right?
Well, some of the folks, if they're not familiar with Omar from The Wire, Omar from The Wire, if you're watching BMF, is very similar to Lamar.
Yes.
In BMF.
A local terrorist that has to be stopped.
A local person who's terrorizing the neighborhood.
So if you're thinking about it from the worst case scenario, from like a national security risk, what if they're planning a terrorist attack? And we've seen from COVID, we aren't prepared for any mid-level attack, let alone a major one, let alone an invasion.
Yeah, and we don't know, right? Until they recovered. They said that, the debris spread out over 7 miles off the coast. But you don't know the type of technology that balloon had. You don't know what it was surveying. Yeah. So it's like, it's definitely a national security issue, whether it was for civil purposes or not. Like if something comes into your airfield, I mean,
it's tricky. I think, especially with the economy being weak, us coming off of COVID and things still being very fragile in terms of like sentiment of the market and what Americans are feeling, we can't afford this. 2001 was a different time. The country was perceived to be stronger. We're weak. Like, America's like Hulk Hogan right now. Like, used to be real strong, kind of fragile. You're hoping it can make like a strong recovery. We need better leadership, starting with the president. And we can't take this lightly. And I'm not, this is not my conspiracy theory bag. I'm really worried if China and Russia and India teams up, what can happen over the next 2 or 3 years.
Well,
we will monitor the situation.
Monitor the situation.
Yes.
Fact. That is a fact. Let's talk about some stocks for a minute. So the stock market, especially the NASDAQ, has had a great January.
Yes.
Last day, Friday wasn't good, but for the month of January, it was insane. It was on a great run. Do we expect February to continue in this path?
They raised basis points by 1/4%. So that was the reason why I drug down. They seem to be lightening up on how much they were going to raise rates. So it's not going to be the aggressive 6 to 7% that we thought maybe 3 months ago.
Right.
I'm kind of worried though, because like the tech companies are going up like too rapidly. Like I'd rather a slow increase. I think February will be solid. March will be pretty good, but I don't want the companies to overinflate or overhype or go up too fast. Like even Meta's damn near doubled.
Well, you were talking about Facebook. So they had their biggest one-day gain ever.
Insane.
Going up 24%.
Yes.
You were very bearish on Meta.
Still am, and I was right in the bearishness.
So do you think that now it's on the rise?
Yeah.
It's on the rise.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on Meta?
They finally start listening. They began to be a lot more efficient. They're cutting out a lot of middle management. Zuckerberg even said, like, it's fun now because the people that had got laid off, it was necessary. And now people that are there at Meta, like, want to be there and actually want to write code, want to make better product. I'm seeing some changes at Instagram. So I think they aren't going to get back to that peak anytime soon, but they're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, you said the products, obviously Reels.
Yeah.
Did great for them in the quarter.
Yes, did amazing.
And there is some talk that he might be cutting back on at the amount of spending that he was going to do into the space. And so when you're talking about over $50 billion being invested into the metaverse, scaling that back, that's positive news.
Which is a bad investment.
and if you go back, I think to the end of 2021, when we asked each other, like, what do you think is the most important stock? Yeah. I remember saying, like, yo, it's going to be Facebook.
Yeah.
And the reason, not because of anything product that they're doing, but the amount of money that he's spending on this will really determine how the future of this company is going to look. Because if you put $50 billion and this doesn't work, how do you recover?
I mean, the peak was 384.33. It is at 186.53. Nice growth, but they at least need to get to 210, 250 before I'm like super excited about the upside of it.
So it was at $88 in November, and it's at $186 now. So it went up $100, more than double in a couple of months.
Yeah, good trade. And shout out to those who got on the call. Some people are up 300% in Stock Club as a result. So like short term, I'm still bullish. Long term, I'm still bearish until I see like a change in plan. Even on like the conference call, they didn't mention the metaverse as much as they did the previous call.
Very intentionally.
Absolutely. Can we say the metaverse is a failure? For them. Will it work for other companies? Yes. Apple VR headset is coming out soon. They want to replace this with a headset. Tim Cook is going to eat their lunch. Kudos to John Wren, Marn, Alvin, Mark Zuckerberg, everyone at Menlo Park. If you're in Meta and I'm right, go into your other YouTube account and put yes in chat. These are all the conversations. Like, they were spending, like, the 3 times I went, no one's eating the food. There's $60,000 worth of duck confit or whatever. I'm like, this wasteful spending was like insane. Now they're finally cutting back. Not as many people in office. We have more people. At one point, they had no engineers working on building new products for 2 years. See, Rashad would have fired everybody, right?
You're done.
So now that if they get back to a place of actually being innovative, I think they can have a tremendous upside. But I need to see like this consistent pattern of efficiency.
So should people invest in Meta now or no?
No. Not if it doesn't get back to 102.23 or like 104. There are other companies that you could have invested in that'll give you more safety. And it's crazy to say like Nvidia is a safer move right now than Meta is.
Or you go the ETF route.
Absolutely. 2 index, no stress. Franklin Dynatech Fund is one he talked about. Investing, can everyone put it in chat? Investing is not hard. Just stick to the same blueprint. So VOO, VTI, Apple, Microsoft. If you're trading, maybe look at 4 maximum. But they've had an amazing quarter for sure. But if you look from 384 down to $80, that's a hell of a fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough fall.
And that's the benefit of diversification, right? So index funds, but even the ETF, which is more specific if you have, the QQQs of the world.
Yeah.
Or even a mutual fund, like you said, Franklin Dynatech Fund, where, all right, if Facebook does well, you'll benefit, but you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
So now you get the full spectrum of all of the different players on the team, as opposed to just, trying to ride it out with one.
It's gonna be tough.
Particular stock. But even investing in one stock is usually not a good idea.
No.
And some people have it's been like a revelation online where it's like, but I've always said that it's never been a good idea. I personally said I don't really invest in individual stocks.
Yeah.
You can if you want to, but of course there's a lot more risk involved when you're investing with an individual stock as opposed to investing in an index fund or ETF. But we've already said that.
Go look at the max drawdown over the last 5 years of every stock versus index. Drawdown is how much money you lose from top to bottom. There's a lot less loss there. Investing is not hard. People just want to gamble.
Yeah, and even when you're investing in the ETF, actually look inside of it. Like, look at where the asset allocation is going to. It changes, right? I think Meta is it in XLC? Is it in communications?
Yeah.
So look at the allocation. Is it 20% of the ETF or is it 12%, right? Like, so if it does have a drawdown, it's 20% of the ETF.
Yeah.
You're going to feel that, right? Whereas you might, in QQQ, I think it's like 8%, right? So look inside of the ETFs themselves, see the percentage of the allocations, and then make a, educated decision. All right, well, I want to have some exposure to it. Do I want to have 25% of the ETF or do I want to have 7% of the ETF? So
what would make me very bullish on Meta is if they build a ChatGPT competitor. And that's another thing. If I'm comparing Microsoft and their partnership with ChatGPT, if they would have had that and it could have fixed a lot of the coding issues while they did the layoffs, I would have been incredibly excited. They need some AI or automation in place in order to be able to make the company grow faster. If they have that in place, I would be incredibly excited. I would be bullish on Meta again at that point. But if I'm comparing Microsoft, Apple versus them, I'm going to pick Apple and Microsoft every time, for sure.
So what's your thoughts on Bacardi settling with Jay-Z for $750 million? And what is this even about?
Jay had a couple issues. Y'all spoke. That's fine.
I didn't say who.
Yeah. Putting it out there to the world. I think it was maybe 6 months ago where he wanted to see the books on a deal with Duce. And I know I read a lot of the comments and people were saying, hey, he still owns part of it. I get that. But my first thought was, if opposed to going through the entire process of revealing books, all sales, and they agreed to pay out $750, how much do they really owe him?
Yeah. So what
he really owe him $4 billion.
So he wanted to see the books, and this is how it's being reported. He wanted to see the books because he potentially wanted to sell his 50% stake in the company. Yeah. And so Bacardi owns 50% of Duce, and SC, I guess, Holdings or Liquors owns 50% of Duce. And so he was interested in selling his 50% stake in it. The problem is the valuation was so low based on what Bacardi was saying. Mm-hmm. And so when you tell me that the valuation is low, now I need to see the numbers.
Show me the
numbers.
Because he knows his value.
Right. He's saying like...
He's a 50x multiplier to anything he touches.
He says $3 billion. I think they got some reports where they said they're worth $5 billion. And Bacardi's saying like, nah, it's worth 1.5. And so if it's worth 1.5 billion, your 50% stake is 750 million. That's what you're entitled to. Yeah. And so now I have to look at the book. So they went through litigation for like you said, 6 months. And it's like, he finally got to a point where they actually settled on Friday. Yeah. And the settlement was, rather than selling the 50% stake, he sold majority of his 50%. Yeah. And so technically that's like, he has a 24.9 at the maximum % stake of their company. Yeah. So now Bacardi's side, they're saying, all right, well, we're going to agree with that evaluation. Okay. So let's say they agree, and this is all alleged, we don't know the exact numbers. Let's say that they agree that it was $3 billion. Yeah. That's still a hefty payout, right? Because he's
still an amazing payout.
Yeah, right. So that's almost a $1 billion transaction. Yeah, based on selling. Now he still has a large stake in the company. Like I said, 24.9%. If he did, right. So they still have the majority. But now Bacardi owns 75.1% of Duce.
What would that be worth in 8 years off of his name?
Right. Or if the numbers show, like they settled at $3 billion allegedly or reportedly, but what if it was 5?
Or 7.
Right.
And we know during the Depression, alcohol consumption goes up. They're still going to use his likeness in some way to promote the brand. Mm-hmm. I would not be surprised if that brand in 4 or 5 years isn't worth $12 or $13 billion. And all of a sudden, it was some kind of accounting error to value it at 1.5 or 1.7.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's going to promote it, right? It's not like he still doesn't have ownership in it. Yeah. Right? We at the brunch, Duce is sponsoring it. Yeah. Right? So the brand will live on. Obviously, he still has a stake. He's an owner. So why wouldn't you promote it? It still generates revenue for you.
It's tricky, though, because I hate when these valuation games get played with us in particular. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee in a year, they're going to reevaluate the company. Is going to be worth a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, but and so shout out, and again, kudos to Jay and the whole team, right? So if you look at it, last year, they made the move with LVMH. Yes. For Ace of Spades to be part of that luxury company. And we saw the numbers that did. And so Duce was something that kind of was birthed after that. But you can that's
it's still a win.
It's still a big win, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want Black entrepreneurs to get lower valuations and then Meta's valued at what it's worth. And if I have to ask you who's a more impactful CEO, Jay-Z or Mark Zuckerberg, I'm going with Jay every time. Let Jay have that slot at Meta for 2 years and let's see what it does. I know what it would do.
Well, impact.
Absolutely. Relift the Instagram, relift the Facebook, all the content, it would be dramatically different. So I hate that they devalue what the brand was really worth while he's there. But don't get me wrong, 750 is a win.
That's on a conservative low end. Yeah. Right, but again, you want to do something great. True greatness is, can you do it twice? You did it with Ace of Spades. That's true. Now I did it with Duce. Yeah. What's to say you can't do it again?
But shit, you have to.
No. Yeah. But you could.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hove. Well, all right. Well, speaking of Jay, let's get into this conversation.
Brunch talk.
Yes, the rumors are true. We were at the Rock Nation brunch this weekend. I believe I'm up for best dressed.
From who I've seen,
Humbly.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Respectfully?
Super respectful.
You, Jay, Kobe, who else?
Big on the respectful.
Yeah.
Super big on the respectful. Ah, man, how did I miss Snow Allegra? That's crazy.
Really?
Yes.
No,
I missed some on Friday too. Chanel and Ern called me after. It was like, hey, you missed such and such. I was like, damn.
no, but she was right there, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
I left.
Somehow I got blamed for this.
God is allowing you to be a better man and her to be a better woman. So when you finally come together, right? He ain't trying to hear that.
It's all divine timing. So we definitely, was able to go there. So it's a few valuable points in there. They do a great job at creating FOMO around
Absolutely.
it because it's a whole procedure of actually getting in and transportation and the secrecy part of it. And that all adds to the marketing, right?
Yeah.
It's a great marketing play. And it's created an event where people are really eager to go.
Yes.
Right? And so when you're doing your events, try to have some level of scarcity.
Yes.
Try to have some level of exclusivity, some secrets to it that, the public don't know, and then release content. These are all things that you can learn if you're doing events. This is something that we've learned. So they do a great job of that. And B, when we get to the brunch, it's one of these things where it's great networking.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's, all of the people that you would assume to be there were there.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to us doing groundwork and establishing great relationships, because it's like you never know who's watching you.
Yeah.
And you never know who's going to be aware after something happens. So a few stories that I'll tell is Giggs. Shout out to Giggs. If you know who Giggs is, he's probably the biggest rap artist that has ever come out of the UK.
Yeah.
So when we went to Royal Albert Hall,
Mm-hmm.
we were actually trying to get Giggs to perform, and it
Came close.
we was working on it for months.
Yeah.
But it just didn't happen. We actually ran into him in person
The day before,
the
right?
day before,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't able to happen. But when I came out with the flag and I was playing his song, Talking the Hardest,
Oh, bro, how you leave me out of this? Well, we not both out there?
we both came out. But
Teamwork.
but yeah, we both came out. So he's waving the flags, and it got back to him.
Yeah.
So when we seen him this time, it was completely, he was like, yo, I seen it. I seen what y'all did.
Yeah.
Man. He was like, yeah, I reposted it. He was like, nah, y'all did some mad things out there.
Yo, I like how you protected him just now.
Shout out to Giggs.
Shout out to you for that.
And
shout out to Giggs.
So yeah, he like, yo, I like what y'all did. Then we talked to his manager. His manager was like, yo, y'all turned London up. Y'all turned London up. So now now I'm saying that to say we created such value add and created such a buzz.
There's one quote that I have to say, because it hit me like, whoa. He was like, yo, I had people there. He was like, yo,
wow.
They text him like, yo, I'm watching my heroes on stage and they're playing your music.
That's crazy.
And he was like, yo, y'all large, man.
That's crazy.
You guys are large.
You got to create such a momentum that it gets to the people
that you want to
you're trying to connect with. So then when you actually connect with them, now it's like, oh, okay.
That's mutually beneficial.
Mutually beneficial.
Ooh, that's a bar.
It has to be.
I'm gonna come back to that. That's a bar.
That's what happened. Like,
that's a bar. Yes.
So when we first met him, and shout out to Giggs, great guy.
Solid.
But it was just meeting somebody. People meet him all the time. So it's like, oh yeah, I heard about that. All right, cool. But when the buzz had built, the next time we met him, it was like,
circle
okay.
back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
So that's a major key. And Emery,
Legendary.
And it was crazy because it's like, hearing Emery's story, and I remember, Jay made a song about him being locked up.
Almost every album.
And so, Emery is just an iconic person in the culture. And, from working with Nip to his Puma relationships and all that, like, he's one of these dudes that everybody just says the same thing. Super solid.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, don't really talk too much. Cool, laid back dude. So when we walked up to him, we have a mutual acquaintance. And I was going to reference the mutual acquaintance just to kind of like get him familiar again.
Yeah.
And before
a good tip. Having someone that they respect,
sure.
love, appreciate, that's a good door in.
But before I even had a chance to mention a mutual acquaintance, he was like, yo, I love y'all. I love y'all. And then he started going, he was like, yo, y'all doing something that nobody else is doing. Like, y'all teaching people how to fish. Like, that's the most valuable thing you can do to somebody. Like, it was just like, he's tapped in, to say the least. Like, let's just like, so shout out to Emery, man. And then, you know, just moving around the room, it's just seeing a lot of our friends and peers from Benny the Butcher and different people, Bobby Wagner. And it's like, you know, these are real, just solid relationships that we
JB.
built. Yes. And, you know, every 2 Chainz.
2 Chainz.
2 Chainz said, yo, we got to protect y'all.
Chainz a good
yeah. A bunch of people. Tiffany Cross, Angela Rye, all of them.
But I will save this story for Troy.
Yeah.
So you can tell the story about Jay-Z.
Yeah, I mean, it really ties into what you just said. Reading the room and try to get a gauge on how far the impact is going. And so one of the reasons we like, yo, we got to find Emery just to see. We want to see if Emery knows, then there's probably a good chance that Jay has heard about some of the stuff we've been doing. So we got Emery. I'm like, oh, perfect. Emery knows. We got a good chance that Jay knows. And so now I'm scouring the room to see if there's any more rock, you know, affiliates in the building. I know they're coming. And as we're talking to Emery, I see Jay walk in. And now it's like, how are we going to get to him? Right? Are we going to figure out somebody going to introduce us? Do we wait? Do we walk over? I'm like, let's keep scouring. And so I'm trying to find as many people. I see OG Juan. I'm like, yo, if I get to OG Juan, let's just see if he knows.
It's a good lesson. Be connected to the person.
Exactly. Because if they know, there's chances is the big dog knows. And so I see Juan, couldn't get to him. See Tata.
I'm
like, that's right hand. We got left hand Emery, right hand Tata. Spoke to Ty, told him, you know, love the team, everything they doing. Wasn't familiar with the platform. I said, all right, cool. Well, Emery did, Ty didn't. Perfect. Watching Jay. Me and Shotty sitting there. He's like, yo, Troy, you got to go for it. And in my head, I remember being on, obviously, Marcus Mondays and obviously, you know, Earn Your Legion. I'm like, yo, when you get a chance, you got to seize it. Crazy part is half hour, I saw Biggs. And I started thinking about when I didn't seize it. And then Jay walks out the room. And I'm like,
your stomach drop?
And you know who's on my neck now, right? Shotty's on my neck. Yo, bro, you should.
I told you should have did it.
Why you ain't do it? You
That's a good lesson.
And I'm like,
a shot business-wise.
But wait, it's coming back now.
Go ahead.
Now we going. So now I'm still trying to, I'm like, yo, Troy Carter, friend of the show, friend of Earn Your Leisure, close friend of Jay's as well. Maybe he can introduce us. So now I'm looking for Troy Carter, can't find him. I see June Ambrose. I know June Ambrose is his stylist. I'm like, all right, well, let me talk to June. She was familiar. She knew Mike B, who's our stylist. Shout out to Mike. She was like, oh, tell him I said
Shout out to Mike. You talking about that suit.
Mike Kill. Mike Lace.
That suit.
The suit's not possible without Mike.
Mike
not
Lace.
possible without Mike.
That's a fact. So I'm like, because I'm looking, I'm like, yo, I know that's his stylist. That's his manager. I see a couple other people. Then I walk into Guru. And I'm like, all right, bet. I leave Shotty because he's like, I'm trying to figure this out.
He was steaming, ain't he?
He's steaming. He's steaming at a point like, yo, we might not get this opportunity. And so how it usually works is like, yo, I'm going for it. I'm going for it every time. And then like, he's there with me. But I'm looking like, how can I make this happen? So I talked to Goo, and Goo's like, yo, I love y'all. I'm like, oh, bet. Now my confidence is back up. Right? Because it's more than just courage. It's confidence and it's courage.
Absolutely.
So Goo was like, yo, here's my number. Let's exchange. I watch what y'all do. Love y'all. And so at that point, I go back.
Well, there's another point that you don't even know. So I met another guy in a party, and he's like, yo, I love y'all, da-da-da-da. So I'm like, yo, here's the play that we're trying to do. We're trying to find somebody to introduce us to Jay. We'll talk about the Nas situation later on in the show as well.
Yes.
But it's always beneficial if you can find somebody that the person respects.
Absolutely.
Make an introduction.
Make the intro.
As
Who makes the intro is really key.
Well, it's vitally important. It's vitally important.
Because I come from a sales background. So it's like, as a financial advisor, and this is a business lesson for anybody that's in business.
Write this down.
So referrals is the number one key to business.
Absolutely.
Especially in sales. You have to get referrals. So my process is, when I was a financial advisor, I used to push hard for referrals. I used to make people give me at least 3 referrals. I used to push them. Like, I have a pen, paper. I have like, can you write it down? Like, well, sometimes people will say, like, let me get back to you. No, you got to do it now. You're not going to get back to
There's no later.
Name the number. But just getting a referral is not good enough. In 2 days, I would call them and say, can you call this person and tell them I'm going to call? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Endorsement matters,
You
man.
need to have
important.
that. So what we were trying to find is somebody that can walk us up to Jay, give us a ringing endorsement to him to make the conversation, as opposed to doing a cold call.
Cold call.
When I told the guy to play, he said, yo, I'm be honest with you, it's not gonna happen. He said, I've tried that play before. Not gonna happen. He said, but here's the good thing. He was like, he knows you. I'm like, how you know? He's like, because everybody knows you. He's like, he knows you.
Yeah.
Just walk. He's right there.
Yeah. So this is real.
He feel us an approach.
Yo, this is happening like in real life, right? And so I walk back over and he's like, Shai goes to me, he's like, yo, just walk over, bro. Like, this is it. This is the moment.
Shoot your shot.
And once I grew, the courage was there because I'm like, yo, everybody knows what he means to me.
Really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Y'all are huge, have a large platform, right?
Yeah.
Why were you afraid, and then how did you get over the fear?
I wasn't afraid.
Okay.
I wasn't afraid. I just I was interested in seeing how we were going to interact.
Gotcha.
That was my most thing. Like, the courage and the standpoint was like, all right, I know we have something to offer. Yeah. I was just wanting to see if he understood what we were doing.
Okay, gotcha.
If it was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like some of the team did. And so he's like, you got to go over. And then I saw this gentleman talk to him and I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. If
he not you?
If he's not doing what we do.
It's like the ugly dude in the club with the bad girl.
If he told me, I forget. Now I'm just like, whatever. Yeah. I said, yo, we going over right now. Go over there. I'm standing there. And then Angela Rao walks in front of me.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I'm like, damn, okay, well, Angela's talking to him. They already know each other. And then right after that, Rhapsody walks in. And I'm like, well, that's Rock Nation. I'm like, nah, I'm just standing here.
Yeah.
They start talking to each other. I'm like, this is it. I'm going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Tap him. He looks over. What's going on, bro? I tell him who we are, what we're doing. I tell him, like, yo, you know, our foundation of financial literacy was a lot based on your lyrics. He's like, yo, that's dope. And then Shotty comes over and he's like, so what's your, he's like, yo, we got a company called Earn Your Leisure. What's the name? Earn Your Leisure. Okay. You ever heard of it? Nah, I haven't heard of it. But
I don't think, no. He didn't say he hasn't heard of it, but the tone of the conversation was you would assume
that he hadn't heard of it.
But we never asked him. So we're not 100% sure that he didn't have it. But you would give the assumption that he wasn't.
He did not.
Familiar.
He wasn't familiar.
He didn't say he. Let me just say this.
Yeah.
He didn't say that he was familiar.
So let's just say I'm assuming that he wasn't familiar.
Yeah.
But what he did say was important. After that, he said, that's dope. I'm sure we're gonna cross paths again.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Graceful line too.
When he said that, I said, we're definitely gonna meet again.
Yeah.
We're definitely gonna meet again.
Let's just tell the whole story for full transparency.
You got your
This is a master class even in marketing and PR too.
Yeah.
So we spoke, he was a class act.
Yeah.
Extremely cool person. It was
actually, the most successful usually are, right?
Yeah, he was cool, super dope, engaged with us, looked us, in our eyes. Oh, word, that's dope. He's like, they need it. Like, they need it. Financial literacy, that's important.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So after, we talked for a couple minutes. Somebody, yo, Jay, we get a pic. He said something. Hey, I've never... No, this is...
okay, now I'm just going to say that I didn't say this part because I want you to tell it.
I've never asked somebody for a picture and they declined the picture before. I've never had that. But I've heard stories about people saying like, yo, no, I'm not in a good vibe. Like, now is not my time. But that's personally never happened to me.
Yeah.
But the way he did it was such classy and so tasteful, and I understood it. And what he said was, he was like, if I take a picture now, it's gonna fuck up the vibe because everybody's gonna start taking pictures.
But he didn't say anything. He didn't even say a word. He like kind of just like,
he did hand motion.
He's like,
we take a picture now, it's gonna kind of fuck up the vibe.
Yeah.
He was like, but what he followed up with is extremely key. He said it in an extreme level of confidence. He's like, but I'm sure we're gonna see each other again.
Yeah.
Meaning like, it's not the time right now, but when we see each other again on a loop back, there's gonna be opportunities for that.
Absolutely.
And I understood it. I didn't feel slighted. I completely understood what he
meant. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And I understood why he didn't take the picture, because it would have actually messed up the situation.
Yeah, it was a crowd.
Where he was standing at that moment, if he takes a picture, everybody's going to start taking pictures and it just starts turning into a circus.
Yeah.
But the way he said it was very graceful, where he was like, yo, we're going to run into each other again. So, we just doing a test.
And it takes to the lesson on investing too, like everything is long term. You're not going to get a hit right away.
Here's the craziest part though, right? As we looked at each other, we were like, all right, cool. He's not quite familiar. We got work to do.
Yeah.
Fast forward to maybe an hour later.
Fire.
We see Elliot Wilson.
Okay.
And Elliot's like in a section with Jay. He's waving over. So this is part of the snow leopard part. You want me to get that part or not?
Yeah.
I will get the snow leopard part. So
Might clip this up.
I see this a woman in a pink dress.
Yeah.
I can't figure out who it is because her back's turned to me and she's kind of in that section too. And as I'm looking, trying to figure out who it is, I see Elliot Wilson and he's waving to me. He's like, yo, come here. Shout, if y'all don't know who Elliot Wilson, go do your research.
Rap radar.
I mean, one of the best journalists in the history of hip hop.
Legend.
He's waving to me like, come over. And I'm like, yo, Elliot's trying to get our attention. And he's like, what for? I'm like, he's right there with Jay.
Yeah.
So I walk over to Elliot. I walk past a woman in the pink dress because I'm Elliot now. He's like, yo, pulls me to he's like, yo, I want to introduce you to Jay.
That's love, though.
Patience is a virtue.
Patience, yo, patience. He's like, yo,
being good, yeah.
He's like, yo, I want to introduce you to Jay. Let him know like what y'all doing. I was like, yeah, we spoke to him. He's like, nah, it's cool. I'm gonna do it anyway. So he leans over. He's like, yo, Jay, these guys right here. And Jay looks up. He's like, nah, we spoke earlier. Yeah, we spoke. Yeah, they solid. I'm like, damn.
It would have been a lot more beneficial if we would have waited for Elliot to introduce us.
But you don't know
a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't know if that ever would have happened.
And may have not have happened later.
Exactly.
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 So we got to shoot the shot, and then on the back of it, it was like, all right, well, patience. So I walked past the person with the pink dress.
Got you.
We're like, yo, this is getting kind of late. The traffic situation, and that's something they'll figure out. I'm sure for next year. It was crazy to get out of there. So we're like, yo, let's just leave. As we're leaving, I get in the car and I look, and I'm looking on Instagram, and I see the person in the pink dress takes a picture, and it was Snow Allegra.
At that moment, how did you feel?
Disappointed.
Boy.
Well, you know, referrals, that's a referral that I would have actually, I'm like, all right, Elliot, you can't make this referral. This is the introduction.
Intro me, please.
This is the introduction that we have not made yet.
We made
if you're interested
in too early.
If you're interested in making an intro, we couldn't do the J intro.
Yeah.
Is what we can do.
Chanel texted me like, yo, Babyface and LMA want to meet you. I was in the building.
LMA was definitely in the building.
Yes. And Babyface, was sitting on the couch with Jay.
Babyface was in the building.
Come on.
But, you know, it's one of these things, man.
Close the club down if you're in the right venue.
You live and you learn.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's great. It's great to be there. Not to harbor this point, but it's good to see when 2 Chainz, it was love. Like when he seen me, he was like, yo, you know I love you, right?
Yeah.
And I started laughing. He's like, no, you know I love you, bro. He said, we got to protect you. And Emery, to just see how warm, embracive he was. And it's like, what we're doing is really the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, everybody's not aware of that. Everybody doesn't know that yet. But some of the people, I'm not even going to say few, a lot of people that do know that, the level of reverence is different. And you know who always really appreciates us the most? Security.
Yeah.
And that means the world to me because it's
Illest quote. Illest quote, tell him.
He was like, yo, everybody, security pulled us to the side. And he was like, yo, everybody that's here, y'all I'm most excited about y'all.
That's
He's
dope.
like, yo, y'all changed my life, bro. Like, I started investing, I'm getting real estate, like, like, I'm hustling, I'm working.
Have an actual real impact.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that happens all the time with security. Like, everywhere we go, the security, it's the people that is on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing for us, because it's like, all of the other stuff is going to come.
Absolutely.
Because it's like the momentum starts on the ground level. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like for us to really still have that level of impact in people's lives, that means more than anything. So it was dope experience. Shout out to Jay. We will definitely meet again. Shout out to the whole Rock Nation. You guys are class acts. And
the brunch is bigger than the Grammys. Like, I'm going to the Grammys tonight, but it's like the brunch is like the it thing to be at. So the marketing they done behind that. But for everyone watching at home, make your list of 500 people that you want to connect with and start to reach out, because you never know. And be mindful of what you say. So Toby was sitting in front of me on a plane on the way there.
He told me.
He was like, yo, bro, I rock with you. Yo, delivery, though, be crazy.
Oh, he said that? He didn't tell me the combo.
He was like, but I rock with you. I'm like, I'm working on the delivery. He like, no, just be you, but just say it.
A little calmer, nicer.
I got you.
He was connect.
He was like, man, I knew y'all was coming when I seen bro Ian on the plane.
My guy.
Yo, I tapped him because Toby was at the United Masters event.
Greatest ever, man.
And we'll talk about the United Masters event at some point, but like, I tapped him. He had just finished talking to Shai, he had his glasses on. I tapped him. He was like, man, I was about to punch you. He said, I looked, I was like, who tapping me? And I looked
Yeah,
at
he don't want to be
Truck.
bothered.
Yeah, because I mean, he's with his family.
Yeah.
I was just like, I wanted to tell him how great his performance was. But Shy, you left something out, bro.
What?
The realest moment.
With Toby?
No.
What?
From the brunch.
We'll talk about that later. Let's get
Good
back to
cliffhanger.
stocks. Let's get back to stocks. Remind me.
We got to do that. We have to.
All right. What are 4 stocks to stay away from in 2023?
I mean, I was going to give 4, but I want to give a sector for anyone long term. I need you to stay away from all penny stocks, and I need you to stay away from any companies that have low profit margin. I would define profit margin being low if it's like 2 to 9% profit margin. Since interest rates are going up, like I know the market's on a tear, and everyone's going to be like, "Well, I found a company worth $4. I think it'll go to 16." I think we're having a great run because all the hedge fund money is being pushed in right now. But when that slows down, like mid-March, these companies are going to fall apart. So I know there's some penny stocks that went crazy the last 2 weeks. Stay away from them right now. And anything that has like a low profit margin business, I would stay away from. Absolutely.
So even if from a standpoint of somebody who's doing research, not as familiar, when we talk about profit margin, when we talk about revenue, like where do you go when you try to seek that information?
You go to macrotrends.net, you can go to CNBC, you can go to Bloomberg, Guru Focus is another one. They have a paid membership, but they have some good free information.
Yeah.
But you can just Google profit margins of companies. I like for them to be between 20 to 50%.
Bless.
Bless you.
But if they're low profit margin in this environment with inflation is still an issue. I know Powell was saying we're in a deflationary environment.
Yeah.
That's his job. He has to say that right now. I think that will have the greatest potential to have like the drop like we saw in NFT is like the penny stock market that's pushing right now. We have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, I'm glad you gave the information because a lot of times people, they hear us say these things and they're like, well, where are they getting that from? And I remember in the classroom when we first were introducing kids to the stock market, we just went to Yahoo Finance.
Yes.
Like we just went to Yahoo Finance and there was kept kicking. And I'm like, yo, just get familiar with the page. They would click tabs and they would find,
and scroll to the bottom.
Yeah, scroll. What does that mean? Oh, this is what they're doing quarterly. Yeah. And so like, it could be that simple, but obviously there's other sites that get more in detail.
Yahoo Finance is amazing. I also say anything with a high PE ratio, stay away from it.
Right, like these things.
Yeah.
PE, where do it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CNBC, Google, Yahoo Finance. The tools are there. It's just I want everyone now to be more focused because we're entering an interesting time where the job market is growing, but it's really the jobs that came back from COVID. They're not high quality jobs, they're not high paying jobs. You're going to have to learn to make your own ecosystem and economy. Like there's no, like if ChatGPT becomes what everyone thinks it will be, we're going to see a lot of industries get decimated in like 3 or 4 years. Even in the tech space, like programmers are getting laid off. They get paid $160,000 to $300,000 a year because their robot is able to create code a lot faster. My question for everyone tonight is like, what will you create that will allow you to have a competitive advantage that no one else will have, that no one can take from you? Even if you put in ChatGPT right now, what's the best price to get into Apple or Microsoft? It's not there. Still have a competitive advantage, right? You can write a script, but y'all shot 20 episodes, so y'all was out here. A robot can't do that.
That's a fact.
So find a way to be irreplaceable so your income doesn't get replaced easily.
Be irreplaceable so your income doesn't be replaced.
Yep.
That's a fact.
Bar.
Gautam Adani am I saying his name correctly?
Adani.
The Adani Group.
Loses $108 billion in 1 week after Heidenberg Group accuses him of fraud. So what's the deal with that? And who is he?
He's one of the biggest CEOs in India. He has a conglomerate.
Yeah.
The part that's interesting about Hindenburg Group, they've had.
Let me. I want to give him a little bit more context to who he is, because $108 billion, that's nothing to sneeze at. And like
for us,
like wow, this is like. I would feel like when Mark Zuckerberg lost that amount, it was news, and when we saw Elon lose that amount, it was news. And I'm like, well, this dude had passed Zuckerberg. He passed Jeff Bezos at one point. He was like the second wealthiest man in the world.
Yeah.
And so once I heard he was climbing, I'm like, wait, this is because the Indian economy was growing. I'm like, this guy, well, who is he? And so then you start to research who he is. So I'm gonna give you a little context of how he got the money. So he built a sprawling business empire that spanned across infrastructure, logistics, energy production, and mining. So if you're in all of those businesses,
where's he from?
This is India.
In India.
If he's in all those businesses, he has a monopoly on
Absolutely.
the country.
Yes.
Right? You have infrastructure, energy,
mining.
He's like Enrico Dangote.
And that's
Pretty
who I
much,
thought of
Yeah.
when I thought of him. I'm like, oh, he's just that for their country.
Yeah. The purpose of running a business is to become a monopoly. I know it's not favorable in the United States, but he did have a stranglehold. And then they put out the report that they believe there's some fraudulent activity going on in the business. Now, it's tough because they had an accurate call last year, but they used to rail on Tesla for many years about not being profitable and the same allegations. So we don't know if it's true, but it did cause the value of the stock to drop incredibly over a few days, like a 30% drop that's like Caterpillar falling apart.
Yeah.
So I've been telling everyone the markets you need to be focused on internationally, definitely Asia or China specifically. You have to focus on India and Australia. We have to start looking at those sectors as well. So to see that drop happen, I wonder who put them up to it, because there's companies here I think we can investigate and say that are not doing that well. But I'm really interested. I wouldn't buy the stock right now until the investigation is over.
Yeah.
Or some data's put out, but I thought it was pretty interesting to see this report come out at this time.
Yo.
So Heidenberg Group they do research, they like unearth.
But they're short sellers though, so they have a benefit.
They have an interest in it.
But I'm just giving people a reference.
Oh yeah.
So they're like the financial news people that say this is legitimate, this isn't legitimate.
Yeah.
They break stories, but they're also investing at the same time.
Yeah, they're making short calls on it.
Yeah. I mean, they called Nikola falling apart and being a fraud. So that was true. Great call, but for many years they were saying the same thing about Tesla. So I'm not sure. I haven't done like enough research on this report and haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, I tried to dig up some information on it. It pretty much was stock manipulation is what they're accusing them of.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to something that you said.
What's that?
Because you kind of breezed over it.
What happened?
When he asked you the countries, when you said the countries.
Oh, yeah.
You said Australia. And it's funny that you said it because it brought me back to Davos. Because when I was in some of these meetings and in some of these panels, Australia came up.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do they keep talking about Australia? And then I looked, and this is going to save you some research. The top 5 lithium producing countries in the world, if you look it up, Australia's number 1.
Yes.
So I guess the question is is that fact the reason why you said that country?
Because when we look at
continent, it's both.
When we look at minerals that really matter, that's one of them. Of course, Africa's mineral rich in every part of the continent. And if we aren't producing great companies anymore, even in the startup scene, we're seeing like companies being valued at $100 million. And then you look at the actual revenue, and they're bringing in $6 million a year. It's like, how is this happening? Like, we are sitting on a house of cards. I'm seeing a lot of investors go internationally to like, look, that's one of the main reasons why I went to Mexico. I'm like, y'all can have the States. I'm gonna tell you this part now. Todd, shut me up when you need to. Y'all can have the States. If I go to Mexico and I get on Telemundo and I can do this for them, right? And trade the Mexican peso. Yo no sé qué quieres, you know? And I play Loteria with y'all live on air and trade stocks. What y'all gonna do? There's no Kramer in Mexico.
Yeah.
How you say bye in Spanish, right?
He's vibing. Yeah, he's vibing right now.
Africa, Australia, mineral rich, and there's a lot of money in Australia. India is slowly creeping up on being the number 1 in the economy.
Yeah.
Back when I did marketing, one of the agencies I work with in Bangladesh, that's a lot of money being thrown around. And that was in 2010. So that's grown 7x since then. We have to look internationally.
Yeah, that's the power of research. And I wasn't looking for Australia.
Yeah.
We were in the panel on Africa, and they were talking about how Zimbabwe is going to be in the top 5 producers of lithium.
Yeah.
I think last year it was at number 6 or 7, and I'm like, Zimbabwe, really? And so now I'm looking at, well, what's the top 5? And I was like, oh, Australia. So when you said that, I'm like, bing, there it is.
Floyd's fighting in London. Steve is doing stuff in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Steve could go to Vegas. It would be more convenient, but if he's spending a lot of time in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
America's slowly falling. And it's the same thing like 2 Tech 2 Index. I think you need to have business internationally in a couple countries to have like a diversified portfolio internationally. If I've made you money, please put yes in chat. And for all y'all who remix my posts, clip me in.
Yeah.
Academics.
And while he's here, I got to get shout out Ag.
Academic repost your post?
Yeah, he been posting the Floyd stuff like crazy.
Yeah, academics.
We got to shout out Ab for MVP performance for us to even get to the brunch. We left that part out.
Oh, yeah.
But he put on an MVP performance for us to get there. So shout out to him.
Absolutely.
And Francois, shout out to you too.
Shout out to Francois for sure. Shout out to AB, the youngest in charge.
He ready for Muscle and Fitness magazine.
Men's Fitness, please.
Okay.
Men's Fitness, call us.
Yeah, let's go.
I'll represent him.
Okay, let's go over some individual stocks.
Can we talk about the Nas thing?
No, I'm definitely gonna talk about the Nas thing.
Gotcha.
Well, let's talk because that is the lesson. There's a valuable business lesson.
Gotcha.
As well. Okay, dead or alive? Carvana,
Carvana's dead for sure.
Peloton.
Let me look. PTON is a ticker. You guys can write this down.
Dead or alive segment.
Dead.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually.
Dead. or alive.
Beyond Meat.
BYND is a ticker. Let me look at it real quick. The whole fake meat fad, it's dead. I like it if it gets to maybe $9.
So the fake meat fad is dead.
Yeah.
Slutty vegan. She's still.
They the only one.
She's heavy in the streets right now.
She's definitely having in the streets.
Yeah, it's the only one. I'm bullish, slutty vegan. The rest of the industry, dead.
Coinbase.
Crypto people gonna get mad at me. Can I I'll skip this one. I was on with Ray Daniels, so he had me do a little segment. I have to sign 3 artists. I'm gonna have to put money in on Coinbase and just say I got to pay. Well, no. If it gets to $40, I like it, but Coinbase has no advantage right now.
Teladoc.
Teladoc is dead. It'll probably bounce back up to 75, but it's over with long term.
Lemonade.
The insurance company. Let's see, LMD. Dead. If you need insurance, go to Loop. Shout out to John Henry.
Shout out to John.
We are an investor, so we have to disclose that, but Lemonade has no
It's true.
true competitive advantage.
Robinhood.
Oh, I like Robinhood overall. I don't like the narrative that they're robbing from us. Because they made it easy. But brokerage businesses are bad businesses to be in overall. Robinhood's done. It's not going to die. It's not going to get delisted, but I would not invest in it.
Snap.
Snap is dead.
Zoom.
Cost structure is too high. Yeah, Zoom is dead.
Dead?
I wouldn't hold them for long term.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not coffin?
They're not going to get delisted, but I would not invest in them.
DocuSign.
Go ahead. We can stay here.
No. Go, DocuSign.
Ticker is DOCU.
I want to do the next. I want to ask you the next one.
DocuSign not dead. It's not alive, but it will push to 125.
Yeah.
So if you're in right now, I would get out at 125.
Spotify. A
Um,
lot of capital was spent. Not a lot of return.
Spotify gonna be okay. I learned something interesting when I was talking to Ray. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I will. Did you know a quarter of all of their profit goes directly to the record labels? Did not know that. I was like, why don't Universal build their own tech platform? And he was like, why do you need to if they have the hands in the pockets of Spotify? I'm like, what you mean? He was like, they do it based on market share. So the profit goes to the label. I'm like, what? It should be the other way around. Shout to Lucian. If you're doing that, I'm not mad at it either. Now, the artist's not getting paid. But if you're giving up a mafia tax as a tech company.
Lucian's cool, but Lucian don't write. Doug ain't this nice.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
What about Tesla?
Tesla is alive and well.
Netflix?
You know what? Actually, I've been tough on Netflix the last year. It's not a top 20 company that I would invest in, but I do like Netflix, and I do have it going back to 500 by the middle of next year, like March or April of next year. So yeah, it's alive. I'm bullish on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go over your thoughts on some individual thoughts, like thoughts. LPLA?
I actually like it. It's too high of a price to invest in it now at $234, but if it ever drops back down to like $150 or $170, I would hold it long term. In 2015, it was at $15.38, It went from 15 to 234. It was up 4% on Friday. I like that one.
And it's a financial company.
Yes.
Right?
Because I know they don't want me to tech them to index to death. So I want to give some new ones. But yeah, LPLA I like a lot.
DT?
Yeah, Dynatrace. Cybersecurity company.
Yes. I'm bullish.
Cybersecurity? Dynatrace?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm bullish on it. I think it'll get back to 60 maybe in like 7 to 8 months. I would like to get it at 30 where it dropped there last year. But yeah, I'm positive on that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it had if you look at that chart over the past month, that's
Had a nice run. Had a nice run. They was up 1% on Friday. They went from 39 up to 48 in a month.
Yeah.
That's solid. That's solid game.
Solid growth.
What about ELF? What is ELF? It's a beauty company?
Yeah. Let me see. I like it a lot. Surprisingly. It says $69 right now. You can't touch it. It's too high. It's almost at like the max value where it should be. I like it in the 30s. If I can grab it there.
It went from $20 to $71.
Yeah, so you got to wait for it to pull back.
Tripled.
Yeah, so you got to wait for it to pull back
in
at 20.
a year. And beauty industry is one of these things that always goes up over the course of time. People will spend money on cosmetics.
Absolutely.
Forever.
Shout out to Rihanna.
Yeah, if Fenty go public, that's going to go crazy.
Post Holdings.
Let's see.
Post.
What is Post?
It's like one of those. I know they do like cereal, like breakfast foods and things of that nature.
I like. It's been especially in a recession or high inflation environment where people need to save money. I like it. I need for it to pull back to at least $60, but I can see it getting to like 121 in maybe 12, 13 months. So then you'll be able to double your money from there. But I mean, if you got it in 2020. Everything was low. It almost went to, if you got it at $46, it went from 46 to 95. That's a strong return. So there are some quality companies out there that don't get heavily marketed, but the growth has been insane on them.
VR TV, which is Verti Corporation.
Let's see. This one I don't love. A couple people asked me about this one. And the only reason is because it stayed between like the $60 and $40 range for many months, and then it bottomed out at like 25 and then shot up. You got to wait for it to pull back to the 40s before I'll touch it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So a few new stocks. It's not just Apple and Microsoft every episode, even though Apple and Microsoft are outperforming like crazy.
Okay, let's talk about
what happened with Nas.
So
tell me this story.
Shout out to Nas Escobar. Nas Escobar. Well, for full reference, my son's name is Nasir. So
I got waves because of Nas. That's why I started brushing.
That should let you know the level of reverence that I have for Nas, and Troy also.
Deep reverence.
The first soundtrack to Earn Your Leisure theme song was Made You Look. That's how we started the show. Came out to the Hate Me Now theme at MSG for Market Mondays Live. I mean, Nas, the guys played a tremendous part in our lives. So, all right. The Jay-Z meetup did not go as we would have hoped it would have, but Nas actually over-exceeded expectations. So this is something that is a little different from the Jay-Z story. So we're at the United Masters concert. Shout out to United Masters. Shout out to the whole family over there.
Stout, Eden. What up?
Yeah. Ryan,
Dave.
John, Dave, Dave.
So they had a dope concert. And it was Toby. It was Russ and Brett Fayez.
So it was dope.
So it was a dope concert. And, there's like two sides to the VIP thing. It was in the Palladium in LA. So they have like a balcony area which served as VIP.
Yeah.
So
I'm scoping the room.
We got the word. Shout out to B and shout out to North 13th.
Yeah.
Jaleel, the whole team. That we got word that Nas was in the building. Nas has been spotted.
Time out.
That helps.
Time out. When we get there, I'm scoping the room.
Got you. Because you're confident from the brunch, right?
This is before.
Oh, before? Okay, got you.
I'm scoping the room. I'm in our section, and I tap Ab. I'm like, yo, bro, what's Stout going to be? Because I'm looking at this. I'm like, I don't feel like...
No, tell them. Strategic placement in a venue is
Exactly.
very
So
key.
I'm looking, because the word was like, yo, y'all gonna be where Stout is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, so I'm looking at where at, and I'm like, yeah, where do you think Stout's gonna be? And so we scoping the whole venue, and I'm like, I don't think he's gonna be over here. I'm like, what about over there? And they're like, nah, it's too low to the floor. And then I see across the room, I'm like, yo, they got a photo booth in the same section. So it's kind of like a bowl.
Time out. Can you tell them, like, meeting these people does not happen by accident? You have to
No,
plan this to a T. What you're going to say, where you're going to be.
It's not about just being in the room.
Yeah.
It's observing the room, understanding who's in the room, the placement of the things in the room. All of that plays a part.
Yeah.
And so I see the photo booth, and I'm like, I think we should be over there. I think we got to be over there. And he tells me, we get the word from B, like, yo, Nas in the building. Yeah. I'm like, if he's in the building, he's probably over there.
Yeah.
I leave everybody.
Solo dart over?
No, I leave everybody. I leave here, Ab, I leave Shadi. I left my wife.
Shout to Danny.
She forgave me later. I'm like, yo, I'll be right back, because I got to go over there just to see if we can go over there.
Yeah.
So I'm walking over. I see this young lady go up, and I look at her band, and it's different than mine. I'm like, oh, nah. So he's like, lets her go. He stops me. He's like, let me see your band. But I'm like, now I'm doing like I'm on the phone. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, nah, I'm with Stout. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm with Stout. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm with him. You can get him if you want. And I said, matter of fact,
you gotta say it with confidence though.
Yeah. Completely confident about it. I'm like, yo, my people coming with me. Like, so once I get to the top step, I see Stout, I see Nas. I said, I can't have this moment.
Yeah.
I hit Ab, I hit Shadi. Come over here now. He's here. He's here.
That's crazy.
So I wait. I'm sitting there waiting. I'm like, damn, there he goes. I'm watching them walk across the room. I'm watching them across the room. He's like, yo, bro. Yo, you can't, don't leave me again. I was like, I'm not gonna, I just want to.
But he made it happen on the solo run.
No, I just want to make sure we was good to get there.
Yeah.
When I knew we was good, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
I got it.
So it's important to be observant. It's security. If you know what every entrepreneur should do, they should take a security class.
Interesting.
Because like when you're in security, this is something that 19 Keys is very good at, because no, he comes from that background of like FOI training. Mm-hmm. So he's a very observant person, and they teach you different things, like always know where the exit is. Always like, you got to be aware. The average person's not thinking like that. But
that's
it's like
true.
When you go in a place, like it's like, okay, the odds are if there's a couch, that's probably the VIP. Yeah. Right? As opposed to it not being couch. There's a photo booth, there's a photographer over it. Like you start to look at things like you in Secret Service, like, you know what I mean? And then that can make the difference on a variety of different things. So yeah, be observant is extremely important. So yeah, so when we see, all right, so we get to the side, and Stout is there, Nas is there, and this was early too. Another benefit of coming early. Because later it probably would have never happened, because there was a tsunami that happened at like 12 o'clock at night. But this was early in the show. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, for all of, like, I almost got into fights in high school about Nas. Like, Nas is like my favorite rapper of all time. So, when we...
Better than Jay?
For me, yeah. I mean, as far as like my personal impact for my life. So, when we see him, I said, Stout, now this goes back to this is what we didn't do at Rock Nation. Mm-hmm. We didn't have opportunity to do. I seen Stout. Now, mind you, we had Steve Stout on the show 2 years ago, right? Had him on the show. He saw the value. Shout out to Charlemagne, because Charlemagne was the one that told him he needs to get on the show. He got on the show, saw the value from being on the show. Yeah. From there, it was like we developed a working relationship with
partnership.
Like we do events with them. Like we're partners with them in a variety of different things. So we've developed a relationship with Stout. Built on mutually beneficial for both sides. Yes. It's not like...
You have to add value in everything.
It's not like a mentor. Yeah. Like, no, they're making money with us. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
mentorship is robbery too. I want to say that.
Yeah, like you gotta add value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So being that we've added so much value, I felt confident asking in this. I said, yo, Stout, I need a favor. He was like, what you need? I said, yo, can you introduce us to Nas? That's easy. So he goes over, and so this is Steve Stout introducing us. Like, obviously Nas's reverence for Steve Stout is different than just a regular person. So Stout goes over to Nas, and he was like, yo, this is Earn Your Leisure. These guys is killing it. They doing the business. You know, gave him the whole spiel. And thank you for that, Stout. Appreciate it. Nas was already familiar with us But when I broke the ice with Nas, I told him, like, that's
You have to.
You just got to be honest, right? I'm like, yo, bro.
And it's okay to show other men love.
Nah,
Like, lead with love. That helps so much.
He means too much.
So I told him, like, yo, my son's name is Nasir, because it is.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, that's amazing, bro. And then I was telling him about, you know, the Hate Me Now and MSG. Troy told him about, you know, the backstory for the show and everything. And what was dope was that he engaged with us.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, he was like, yo, what y'all did is like revolutionary. He's like, nobody would have seen it coming. And then we had a whole conversation. He was like, yo, y'all been able to relay the information in a way that was just brilliant. And he was like, yo, like, I know that they don't want that out there, but y'all been able to do it. And it's a true Nas conversation. He watches the program.
That I think that's the
difference. Yeah.
Like what Shotty's saying is true. Like from a
you can see it in the video and the photos too.
Yo, my brother screenshotted me like, yo, I know what you felt in that moment.
Yeah.
Because he remembers when I had that red disc and I would not stop playing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which is obviously Illmatic. But like for me this is the first person in life like I wanted to be like.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like Jordan.
Yeah.
It was Nas because I was like, I want to cut my hair like him. I want to dress like him. He's like the coolest guy.
Nas is fly too.
To me. Yeah, I mean, he's still a fly dude. Yeah. But when I looked at him, I told him like, obviously the impact of Illmatic. I said, yo, when we record in the studio, like Illmatic is in the center of, you've been in the crib. It's in the center of everything. Yeah. And I was telling him like, on the investment side, what you've done is incredible. And he was like, yo, I'll watch y'all shit.
That's crazy.
And I'm thinking back to like the 12-year-old kid who would listen to Illmatic every day.
Yeah.
Now listening to the guy who made it saying that he watches us.
And he's one of the greatest investors for real. Like,
no, he's been
the last 100 years.
Ring, you got Pill Pack, you got Ring, and Adreessen Horowitz, and shout out to Ben Horowitz. He was there also.
Yeah,
we spoke to him also. He knows us.
That's a fact.
So it's all relationships. So, and Nas he didn't just say, yo, I watch your show. He's like fully engaged. Yeah. Like he's giving me commentary on. It was just a surreal moment because I'm like, damn, like he really. And then shout out to G Code.
That's the next thing we did.
That's his manager.
Yeah.
So
he I get you because he's with Nas, and I look and I'm like, in my mind I'm like, how are we gonna ask Nas for his number?
Yep.
So I look across. I'm like, yo, they go G Code.
Yeah.
He's talking to Nas. I go talk to G Code. Shout out to G. I'm talking.
That's the right way to roll.
He's like, yo, bro. We watch y'all shit all the time.
Yeah.
He was like, and y'all know all the right people. Because when we were trying to get them for a few events, he was like, yo, they got to us. Like, they came to me. Like, it got to me.
Yeah.
So I know y'all dealing with the right people. He was just like, we was just touring, so we never got to do it. In fact, yo, y'all gonna be in New York on the 24th? Y'all should come to the show.
That's fire, yeah.
And I'm like,
it's all long-term relationship building.
Great. Yeah. So like, now I connect with G. He's like, yo, y'all got the Ant too. So like Ant knows Ant is on Nas's team, but him and G Code handle a lot of his business.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, it's just touring. But as soon as it's not touring, it's on.
That's dope.
Yeah, and I say he locked in and got, I had asked him, like, yo, we have reached out a few different times. I don't know if it got to you. He's like, no, it got to us. He's like, yeah, we know a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
He's like, but it's just, scheduling and all that, but we'll lock in when it's time to really lock in. But that's another lesson as well. No important people attached to the situation.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, like you say, you ask Nas for his number, like, you know what I mean? That's not the best way to go about it. So it's like, even when people know us, like if you know us, if you really, really know us, if you're trying to really get to us, you should know who AB is.
Absolutely.
If you don't know who AB is, then you're going to do yourself a disservice by trying to, you know what I'm saying?
Those really the CEOs that manage and make our lives easier. Even like with the Floyd situation, like having to deal with Kent, like going back to the John Morant situation, like it's okay to be a fan of other people. I think at a certain point you need to stop. But you need to go study like the people who you admire and who's around them. Everything about them. Because you don't know when you're going to run into them.
Yeah.
And the chances are, if you start seeing those people, that person's near.
Yes.
So at that same time, that night, after, like what Shai said, like at 12 o'clock, it became a madhouse. Because we're still standing there. We saw
when once Khaled walks in,
Khaled walks. Dougie Fresh walks in. Khaled walks in. We were just in Davos with them, with Dougie and shout out to Rich Player. So we talking, and Khaled walks in, and then after that's a
zoo.
That's an ordeal.
Future
walks in, and then this gentleman's talking to me, and he's talking to me about his color line, about he's from Jamaica, and I turn my head and I look. and it's OG Juan.
Oh, shit.
And I said, Ab, Jay's here.
Yeah.
He said, how you know? I said, I just seen Juan.
Juan's here, yeah.
And if I see Juan, I know Jay's not far behind. He got to be here. He's like, I said, look, go tell Danielle I'm not moving until because I'm thinking this is the night. You know what I mean? And so I didn't see him. Little did I find out that he walked past me while I was talking to somebody else.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Jay was there. Beyonce was there. It was a whole tsunami that came.
Pluto was there.
But like I said, a few lessons that I want people to take away from this. I ask for referrals.
Yes.
Do it it's a way to go about asking for referrals though. Just asking for referrals, not right away. You got to make sure the person makes.
They endorse you.
That's extremely important. Sometimes you need to tell the person what to say. Like, tell them how you want to be introduced.
How to be framed.
Like, yo, can you introduce me as a media company? Like, that's beneficial as well. Be early to things. Be aware of your surroundings.
Yes.
Extremely important. Have a conversation ready.
This is talking points. Yes.
This is something that I did. Nobody knows this. We have a few things like the Royal Albert Hall thing with the flag.
Yeah.
But I always had to show people this. But usually used to happen, I had to go to Instagram, I have to scroll, and I realized like in that moment I'm losing time. I made a photo album in my phone called Important Moments.
That's dope. That's a good lesson.
Times Square billboard, the Royal Albert Hall, MSG, it's like 8 different things.
Yeah.
So now when I run into somebody, I'm prepared.
Yeah.
Within 30 seconds, as opposed to me trying to scroll through WhatsApp and trying to, it's just like, come on, bro. Like, it's here.
Yeah.
Like, look, and the video shows you like more than I can actually explain.
Explain to you, yeah.
So be prepared. Have something to say. Know the other important people that's around the important person. That's extremely important.
And can I chime in for my investors? This is the same thing in knowing like the board of directors of a company.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
they have a team around them that even before I said anything to Toby on the plane, I'll ask the wife first, can I say something to him? I call Quincy, like, yo, I'm on the plane. Then the wife was like, all right, it's cool. You got to work through the wife.
Shout out to Fats.
Don't treat the assistant like they're really the CEO.
Fats performing at 7 months pregnant like she did.
Man.
But how crazy is this though? Like,
shout out to her. Shout out to her.
Shout out to Fats. Us coming from New York, 90s era. On Friday, we meet Nas. On Saturday, we meet Jay-Z.
That is crazy though.
That's kind of crazy.
That's why.
And we had conversations with both of them.
That's dope.
And then was around Nip's entire team throughout the week.
Crazy. Which Nips was like hood Steve Jobs for real.
That's why when you ask me, yo, how's this been? I'm like, yo, bro.
Surreal.
I don't even know if I gotta write it down to really understand and process what's happening.
Can I just give a shout out to the All Money In team? Some of the most solid people that I ever met. And I can't speak too much about anything because everything's top secret. But I'll say this. Blacc Sam, very rare opportunity that people even meet him.
Come outside, yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so for him to meet us, for him to have a conversation with us, like, show us, you seen the picture, the Marathon store, the new Marathon store, like, that means that he has an understanding of what's happening, right?
Yeah.
And he has an appreciation.
Yeah.
Hoggy, NH, shout out to him, man. When Nip said, Hoggy got shot in his head.
PH.
Now he really got shot in the back of his head and survived it. One of the greatest people ever, because what he did was he took us to Nipsey Hussle's studio and he was like, yo, there was a couple other people in the studio from the neighborhood and they was like, yo, I don't even know if y'all know how much this means. He's like, yo, nobody comes up here, bro. Nobody knows where it is. Nobody comes up here. And they let y'all up here with cameras. There was some stuff that we didn't record out of respect and we can't even talk about.
Yeah.
We saw some stuff that we won't talk about out of respect for the family and out of respect for Nip and his legacy. It was just, he was like, I don't want this being shown, but I want y'all to see it.
Yeah.
It was so inspiring.
Yeah.
Like what we saw was so inspiring.
Yeah.
And it's so dope. And it's just a moment because I'll never talk about it, but it was just like, that meant a lot to us.
Yeah.
Like, that meant a lot to us.
I told them to their face on March 31st, 2019, I sat in my living room and I cried.
Yeah, me too.
Like, cried.
Yeah.
And I told them, like, so to be in this room
Yeah.
You could feel the aura, right?
Yeah.
And BH was just like, yo, y'all really fam.
Mm-hmm.
Like, y'all really fam. Like, we don't do this for nobody.
That's
No
tough.
pictures. And he's showing us things. And I'm just like, yo, this is ill. Because it always comes back to me like, yo, I know we would have been with him, but I know the role that we have now, especially now that we locked in with them, to continue the marathon.
Yeah.
And so when Sam's like, yo, when we open this, y'all got to come back here.
That's
it's like, it's a no, like, of course we would come back.
Marathon store in Melrose.
Of course we come back here.
3 levels. They got a studio inside of it.
Yo,
there was a real visionary.
Pac-Man, yo, bro, I'm about to put out the album. Y'all got to come to the release party. Bro, why wouldn't? Of course. Shout out to Pac.
Shout out to Kabi Supreme. He's the one that put all of the
play together.
So what happened is Dave Gross, once again, referrals.
Really quick before you go there, can you tell them why? Because they think we do a bunch of shout outs. Can you tell them why it's important to say thank you publicly?
Because you got to acknowledge people.
Yes.
It's important to acknowledge people.
Without shouting out for clout, but
no.
Like if
that's
PR,
business.
to be honest, to get that introduction may cost you $70,000 though.
Yeah,
and they're doing it for free.
It's being a good person and it's being a good businessman, and it's all relationships. I know people are tired of him talking about relationships, but it means so much.
Matters.
Dave Gross, somebody we built a relationship with. Dave Gross obviously is close to the whole situation. When we was coming out here to do the class, I said, all right, bro, no problem. He asked us to do the class. I didn't ask him like, yo, can you pay for my flight? Like, whatever you need us to do, we doing it. We here, we coming. I said, yo, since we out there, do you think that you could connect us with the team? And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna connect you with Kabi. And then he could play point on the situation. He connected us with Kabi and he played point on the situation. So it's a domino effect. One person introduced to another person, introduced to another person.
Yeah.
So it's like relationships is worth way more than money, man. But those guys, and it was crazy when we were talking to Kabi, I was like, yo, we really wanted to talk to Nip. He was on it was 3 people when we started the show that we wanted to interview. Dame Dash, Jay-Z, and Nipsey Hussle. Dame, obviously, that's our brother.
Yeah.
So that happened. Jay-Z, a work in progress. But Nip, unfortunately, we never had an opportunity. But he said, yo, the good thing is that I know y'all never met bro, but y'all meeting me, y'all meeting Sam, y'all meeting Huggy. You are actually meeting him. Like you're meeting him by meeting up. And I could feel it. Like I could feel his impact. I could feel his impact and all, like you said, Pac-Man, all of them, like they hold him to such high regard and they keep him so close. Yeah. They wear chains, they got the murals, everything they do is Nipsey Hussle.
What Emery said when I brought up Nip, what'd he say? Pull out the chain. I bring my brother everywhere with me.
That's incredible.
This ain't about business.
Yeah.
Before there was a Puma deal, that was my brother. We connected on a different level. And so my brother lives on through us, through me. I'm just like, yo, that's it.
Powerful, yeah.
That's it. That's it right there.
Rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle, man. Okay, before we leave, Lil Baby has been my favorite rapper for the last 2 years. I said he's the highest one. I said right now, currently, Lil Baby is my favorite rapper. And out of this new generation.
Of new school, yes. No argument.
I said that. I've been consistent with that.
No argument.
Lil Baby is the realest rapper.
Nobody
so let's
paint the picture.
Let's paint this picture.
Paint this picture.
So we at the Rock Nation brunch, right? And how it goes is that it's at a mansion and they got like a walkway where girls is giving you champagne and they got the step and repeat where they got the photographers, like going to the Oscars or going to the Grammys or, any type of award show. And it's a long walkway before you get to the house. So everybody's coming and they're on their vibe, Khaled, everybody got the at least 1 or 2 people with them. Khaled got like 6 people with him. He got a videographer, somebody on a cell phone, his assistant who's wearing the same color as him.
Shout out to Jamie.
Fire.
Everybody's coming with, their publicist, their manager. They come and they stop and they taking pictures. They feeling the vibe. It's Hollywood. So we standing outside the house and we was just talking. It was us, Bobby Wagner, a few other people because it was hot. Eastside Golf. Shout out to Eastside Golf. And from like 100 feet away, you see somebody walking. But it wasn't just how he was walking. Hey, we see somebody walking by themselves. He's the only person in the event by himself.
Yeah.
We see somebody walking by himself with bell-bottom pants on a cell phone,
Yo.
Completely unbothered by the situation. Like, he literally looked like he was walking through Target. I'm like, everybody said, it was like, is that Little Baby? Oh, shit, it's Little Baby.
Yeah.
Like, but the way he was walking was like,
Casual.
I'm in Liddy Small.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm like, yo, I look at him, I said, yo, that's him. I'm walking over to him. I want to tell him, like what we just said.
Yeah.
I walked over to him, I said, yo, bro, you might be the realest dude I've seen today. Like, the fact that you in here just strolling, he's like, yeah, I appreciate it, bro.
We started laughing. I was like, yo, I'm like, yo, you real? He just started laughing. He ain't saying that, he just started laughing. He's like, nah, good looking, appreciate it. Like, cause it was just so, I can't even fully explain it.
Yeah.
But you had to kind of
He's different. Yeah.
It was so different. I'm like, yo, this dude is crazy, bro. Like, he's by himself. The fact that he came by himself is amazing.
But for the environment that he came from,
yeah,
that's a cakewalk.
And then he was standing
No, it's not even that it's dangerous.
No, not
danger.
But the comfortability and just being him.
Oh, yeah, he good.
Authentic, yeah. He's
But I'm just like, yo, but I'm just saying, like, yo, he's by himself.
It's like a 50-yard walk by yourself.
Like, and he's on the phone, and like, yo, it was just so crazy. I'm like,
Solo.
yo, this is Little Baby. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna give you like the after he does the 50-yard walk, he's like just standing next to us. Like a half hour. It's him and Offset.
Yeah.
Just having this conversation, what I thought was dope, because you've heard tension before, but I'm just like watching these guys. I'm like, yo, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is beautiful just watching like black men that have done well. You know what I'm saying? And we coming from all different, obviously we coming from media, Eastside Golf coming from the sports world, Bobby Wagner coming from the sports world, these dudes coming from entertainment, but we all here just like fellowshipping.
That's the way it should be.
You know what I mean? It was a dope moment.
Feel like a Sunday service on a Saturday.
Shout out to Yeezy.
Little Uzi Vert had a perm. Shout out to Uzi Vert.
Vert a star though. He be looking crazy, but Vert a star.
He's a superstar.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the perm, he had the Richard Mille that he ripped the straps off and turned into
He turned the Richard Mille to a pocket watch.
And wanted you to know.
That's hard.
And wanted you to know.
He's a star.
Shout out to Uzi Vert.
Everybody got to pick their own way.
Nah, you got to pick your lane, man. But shout out to Uzi Vert. But nah, Lil Baby, bro. I always like Lil Baby. I always respected him as far as, I could always tell. He's like a Nip to me, like as far as like, when I look at Nip, I never looked at him as just a rapper.
Yeah.
I knew he was different. He was different than most rappers.
Absolutely.
And not to compare Baby with Nip, they're different people, but I always looked at Baby like, he's not just a rapper.
Yeah.
Like, I could tell that.
Supreme hustle too.
I could tell he's different from just being a rapper. Like, you could just tell from the things that he's saying, from his lyrics, how he's carrying himself. Like, he's really not just no entertainer.
Yeah.
Like, this is real life. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and just seeing him, the way he carried himself, I knew, like, sometimes you don't even got to speak to somebody. You just know.
Feel the energy.
And that's how Benny is, too. Every time we see Benny, it's
love.
Like, he on the block. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just chilling. Like, it's no Hollywood. It's no.
Let me excuse myself.
Yeah. It's like, yo, what's up, bro? Like, what we doing? Da-da-da-da. So.
Random Gibbs, I'm glad they went at the same spot. I need y'all to. Shout out to Gibbs 219. What
you ran into him?
If Freddie?
Yeah, at the party with Babyface.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good thing they were not.
Yeah.
I need all rappers to get along and get money together.
That might not have been the best.
What Jones say?
Hey.
I don't know what happened.
Keep the peace.
Shout out to
peace. Shout out Bird. We miss Bird. I don't know how. Shout out Lucky Day. Shout out Ern. Ern had that issue on too at Brunch.
Ern. He came with Babyface.
Yeah.
He came with Babyface. Yeah. I think he represents Babyface.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ern, man. Ern's a good dude.
Ern different.
Ern's a good dude.
All right, y'all. Speaking of energy,
real
can
quick.
we make the announcement? No. Come on.
The back end, I don't think the back end is fully operational.
We got to secure a few more things.
But we got to do this soon.
Yeah. We do.
Next week.
Something big coming soon.
So yeah, let's just
next
do that.
week.
Yeah,
for sure. We have to do this next week.
All right, real quick, I just want to give earnings because a lot of people look forward to that. So Tuesday we got Chipotle, Wednesday we got Uber and Disney, Thursday we got PayPal.
Okay.
So there's still a big earnings season. Obviously, we saw what happened with Meta last week.
Yes.
And then we saw what happened with Apple.
Yes.
Missed for the first time in a minute.
Wow, yeah.
But yeah, so those are the earnings for this week. Make sure you, if you're tuning in and tapped into that, that's when you can see how much a company has made, how much
financial report card.
Right, it's their financial report card for the quarter. So this is their marking period. Those companies are due, amongst others, but those are some highlight names.
Next week we got a big announcement. We're gonna change the game again.
I'm ready.
We're gonna change the game
again. I cannot wait.
Never been done before ever. In a space, which is a common theme with everything that we do. But we're gonna change the game again, and we will have a big announcement for Market Mondays.
Yeah.
Next week, top of the week. LA, always a pleasure.
Love you dearly. Y'all at the Grammys tonight. Bad Bunny should win Album of the Year.
Next stop.
We're not leaving the West Coast. We're going to Arizona. We're not leaving. We're not going home.
Yes.
We're going to Arizona. We'll be at Super Bowl. If you're in Arizona,
pull up.
Tap in.
Tap in.
If you need, probably need a barber at some point in the week in Arizona. So if you have any good recommendations of Phoenix, Arizona barbershops or barbers.
Are we in Phoenix or Glendale? Where we at?
Scottsdale?
Phoenix.
Phoenix?
Yeah. So yeah, tap in. Show must go on. We're not leaving.
Nope.
I'm not leaving.
Not going. It's cold in New York. It's 14 degrees in New York right now. It's
not leaving.
There's no need to go.
I'm cold with it being 55 out here. I want to go back to Mexico so bad.
There's no need to go on the East Coast.
LA a little chilly.
Yeah.
LA a little chilly.
So
I love it though.
It's nowhere near New York.
It's not. We got what they got down to -4 on Friday.
Real feel of -4, I think. Real feel.
That's ridiculous.
I'm good on that. I won't be back to New York probably June then. I'm cool.
All right, guys.
Oh, Jersey. I will be doing a free training for everybody who went to Market Mondays Live Jersey in 3 weeks. Y'all can get mad if y'all want to.
Shout out to the whole state.
But I love Jersey.
Shout out to Jersey.
Bring good energy at every show.
No, I love Jersey shirts are coming soon. Shout out to everybody. Tomorrow, tap in. Black Smoke. Shout out to my boy Black Tatted. Dope episode. Entrepreneurship. Shout out to New Orleans. Shout out to Larry. Super solid brother right there. Stay tuned. I'm sure we'll be making history this week again.
Yeah. Yeah, and shout out to the network.
We'll be with Joe Montana at Super
Fire.
Shout out to
Aikman.
John Brady.
Can we say who we is that confirmed? Who we will be with? Let's save it.
No, come on, give it to him now.
We'll save it. Hall of Famer.
Y'all are
another Hall of Famer. Another Hall of Famer.
Another Hall of
Probably the greatest at his position.
Shout out to the NFLPA too. We can see that. We're going out there. We're gonna be doing stuff with the NFLPA. That's dope. Shout out to the NFL. And we will be with Rihanna.
Yeah, featuring the Chiefs and the Eagles.
See us at the halftime show. How about that? On the 50-yard line.
We'll be at the Rihanna show.
Surprise! Cat's out the bag.
Wait, do we got to make a prediction for the game?
I'm going Eagles. I'm taking all bets.
Let's get this going. Eagles, what's the score?
Eagles by 3.
What you got?
Of course, I said this previously.
We're gonna get
Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is currently the greatest player in the league. So I am Kansas City. I have exclusive drip. Watch my stories. I will be drip reporting from Arizona, Kansas City. I'm rocking with Kansas City, man. I don't see how they lose.
Okay.
Shout out to Philly. I think that they're a great team, but you can't go against Pat Mahomes. He's the greatest.
I am taking, and I know I can't root for him, but I think I can't root for him. But I'm taking the Eagles.
By 3 or 7. What you got?
What's the over under? What they got like?
I haven't looked.
The Eagles are the favorite.
Yeah, which is I think is crazy.
I think
Eagles
are favorite
by 1. I think it's more than 5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think they win by more than that.
Tom Brady left the NFL too late. Should have left last season and kept your woman.
Yeah. Shout out to Tom, man. The greatest. Tom is the greatest of all time.
Tom was ready. He's about to get.
Shout out to Tom Brady.
375.
That's a victory.
Sports analyst.
On what network?
Fox.
Yeah, Fox.
Yeah.
375.
Tom Brady is the greatest football player ever.
The announcement, so he did it on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody went and picked up the sand, and now they're selling the sand that he did the retirement on eBay. I think it's like, it got up to $600.
That's crazy.
The retirement sand.
375 ain't bad for a breakup. I went through a breakup and got nothing. You know what I'm saying? Except some new something, you know what I'm saying?
Some new something.
God did. See y'all at the Grammys. Yeah.
That says like 1.
For real?
Yeah. I'll take, they gonna win by more than 3.
1.5.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's one of the closest in history, probably.
Shout out to Toby. Shout out to...
If I see snow tonight at the Grammys, I got you.
Thank you.
I'm hitting right on FaceTime. Here we go. Here go the phone.
We need a referral.
I did my part, bro.
You did.
I did my part.
Teamwork to make a dream work.
I put you right in front of her, bro.
You did your part. You didn't tell me that she was there. I didn't know she was there.
The first time you saw her, you were standing in front of her at her concert.
That's a concert.
I didn't do my part.
No, I would have jumped on the stage. I ain't even gonna lie.
He could have touched her foot.
Can't touch the foot on the first go round, no.
Nah.
Ty, you want me to tell you a story about who we saw at lunch or no? You want to be quiet?
Which one?
Who you saw?
At lunch?
Yeah. Chip.
Oh, she's a friend of the show.
Shout out to Dre.
He said Drea. Shout out to Drea. Nah,
No, that's
the homie.
family.
That's the homie. That's the homie.
Yo,
That's actually
what? Hey,
family.
we was at lunch.
We were just with her 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Shout out
What?
to Terrace J.
Yeah, shout out to T. You ain't hit me back. We ain't friends
Oh, he
no
landed. He
more.
about to land. He about to
Yeah,
land. Nah, he about to
TB
land.
on the
Oh,
move.
Drea, that's
family.
That's family.
Yeah.
We went to lunch. Ty took his glass off like Tom Cruise. He said, "You know who that is?" I'm like, "Oh, you know, I'm blind." Man, that's Drea. He got the phone zoomed in.
Yeah, that's the
15
family.
That's the family.
I'll
Shout-
say,
It's hilarious.
Shout out to Diddy.
on the
Shout out to
date.
Miss Diddy.
We
She
just
doing
was
an
with
event.
her 3 days ago.
Yeah.
At
Relationships. A warm endorsement. Yeah.
Ships and networking.
See, it pays to be in the room, show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little warm intro.
referral basis.
Gotta go, get dressed. Yeah. LA tour coming soon. We just gonna be out here 3 months at a time.
Cali, no place in the world like California, man.
Ian is relocating to Los Angeles.
Hey man,
Or Miami. We run into it in
I
Miami. a
love
lot.
Miami, a vibe too.
Can't go wrong with these warm places.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, it's been real.
Mhm.
Stay safe out there. Stay warm if you're on the East Coast, and stay tuned.
Yeah.
More importantly,
Yeah, most important.
next week, major announcement.
Coming
Tap in early. Be there early. Market Mondays will never be the same.
Yeah, it's gonna be a game changer.
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Love is love, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.